What if everything you thought about money, wealth, and success was wrong? What if the reason you've struggled financially isn't because of your job, the economy, or your circumstances, but because of a deeper truth, one hidden in plain sight? There's a reason why some people seem to unlock financial abundance while others remain stuck in a cycle of lack. It's not just about working harder or making smarter investments. The key is found in the most unexpected place, the Bible. Yes, the same book that teaches about faith, salvation, and eternity also reveals profound financial principles that have the power to transform your life. But here's the problem. Most people never discover these truths. They rely on human wisdom, fleeting strategies, and short-term gains while missing out on the eternal, unshakable financial wisdom that God Himself laid out. And if you don't know these truths, you risk living your entire life struggling with money when you were meant to experience something greater. God never intended for His people to live in lack, constantly worrying about how to pay their bills or provide for their families. The Bible speaks not just of survival, but of blessing, prosperity, and abundance, not for selfish gain, but so that His people can be a light to the world, a testimony of His provision, and a blessing to others. Yet let's be honest, the word wealth makes many people uncomfortable. Some believe that money is evil, that seeking financial success is wrong, or that faith and prosperity can't coexist. But what if I told you that many of these beliefs are simply not biblical? The truth is that God has placed principles in His Word, unchangeable, eternal laws, that when followed, unlock supernatural provision. In this video, I'm going to take you on a journey through 7 powerful Bible verses that can change your financial destiny forever. These are not just inspirational words. They are divine instructions that, if applied, will reshape the way you think about money, success, and the blessings God has for you. But let me make something very clear. This isn't about empty promises or wishful thinking. This is about biblical truth, truth that has transformed countless lives. If you're ready to break free from financial struggles and step into a life where money is no longer a source of stress, but a tool for impact, then stay with me until the very end. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications because we're just getting started. What you're about to learn could be the turning point in your financial journey, and I don't want you to miss what's coming next. Now, let's get started. God is the source of your prosperity. Most people believe that financial success comes from their job, their business, or the economy. They think their boss, their salary, or their investments determine how much money they will have. But that's not the truth. The Bible tells us in Philippians 4:19, "My God will supply all your needs according to His riches in glory in Christ Jesus." Let's stop for a moment and really think about what this means. This verse does not say, "Your hard work will supply all your needs." It does not say, "Your employer will supply all your needs." It says, "My God will supply all your needs." This one truth can change everything. When you understand that God is your true source, fear disappears. Anxiety about bills, debt, or the future loses its grip on you. The world's economy may rise and fall, but God's kingdom never shakes. Too many people place their trust in money itself. They believe if they can just earn more, save more, or invest better, then they'll be secure. But what happens when the economy crashes? What happens when unexpected expenses hit? If your faith is in money, you will always be vulnerable. But when your faith is in God as your provider, you walk in a different kind of confidence. A confidence that doesn't depend on the stock market, job security, or worldly riches. God's provision is limitless. The Bible doesn't say He has barely enough to help you. It says He will supply all your needs according to His riches. God's riches never run out. There is no recession in heaven, but here's the challenge. Many people say they trust God for their finances, yet they live as if everything depends on them. They carry financial burdens alone, worry constantly, and try to control their money with human wisdom instead of following biblical principles. Trusting God as your source doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means aligning your actions with His word, seeking His wisdom, and allowing Him to guide your financial decisions. It means being responsible, diligent, and faithful, knowing that He is the one who ultimately provides. There are countless real-life testimonies of people who, in their lowest moments, when they had no money, no solutions, no way forward, saw God step in and provide in miraculous ways. Unexpected income, divine opportunities, supernatural favor. When you put your faith in God's provision, you stop chasing money, and money starts chasing you. This doesn't mean you won't have to work hard. It doesn't mean money will fall from the sky, but it does mean that God will open doors, provide wisdom, and make ways where there were none before. So let me ask you this. Have you ever experienced a moment when God provided for you unexpectedly? Maybe it was a job offer you didn't see coming, a financial blessing at just the right time, or an opportunity that changed everything. Comment below with just one word that represents what God's provision means to you. Whether it's blessing, miracle, or trust, I want to see your response. And yes, I'll be giving a heart to every single comment. Now let's go deeper. If God is the source of prosperity, what role do you play in receiving His provision? The answer is in the next key principle, and it's one most people overlook: the power of diligence and hard work. Most people want financial success, but few are willing to do what it takes to achieve it. They pray for breakthroughs, hope for opportunities, and dream of a better life, yet they refuse to embrace one of the most fundamental principles of wealth creation: diligence. The Bible makes this clear in Proverbs 10:4. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. This is a powerful truth that contradicts what many people believe. Some assume that success is purely about luck, chance, or even divine intervention, without any effort on their part. But the reality is that God blesses hard work. Diligence is not just about working long hours or exhausting yourself. It's about being faithful, committed, and excellent in what you do. It's about giving your best effort in every task, whether big or small, and refusing to settle for mediocrity. Think about this. Why would God entrust wealth and success to someone who doesn't manage what they already have with diligence? If someone is careless with small responsibilities, why would they be given greater ones? Jesus reinforced this principle in the parable of the talents, Matthew 25:14-30. The servant who worked hard and multiplied what was given to him was rewarded with more, but the one who was lazy and buried his talent out of fear lost everything. This means that how you handle your current job, business, or financial situation matters. Whether you are working at a small company, running a startup, or pursuing a big dream, your attitude and work ethic determine your financial future. Here's the hard truth. Many people want wealth, but they refuse to embrace diligence. They want abundance, but they cut corners, do the bare minimum, or wait for someone else to solve their financial problems. But those who understand the principle of diligence operate differently. They look for opportunities instead of waiting for handouts. Go the extra mile instead of settling for average. Take responsibility for their success instead of blaming circumstances. God doesn't bless laziness. He doesn't reward entitlement, but He does pour out favor and increase on those who honor Him through excellence in their work. Now let's talk about a major misconception. Some people believe that seeking financial success contradicts spiritual values, that pursuing prosperity is a form of greed or materialism. But the Bible never condemns wealth itself. It condemns idleness, greed, and the misuse of riches. Wealth obtained through diligence and integrity is a blessing. It allows you to provide for your family, bless others, fund ministries, and create opportunities for people in need. On the other hand, poverty caused by laziness is not glorifying to God. God designed man to work, to create, to build, and to multiply resources for his glory. When we work diligently with the right heart, we align ourselves with God's divine system of increase. A perfect example of diligence in action is found in the story of Joseph. He was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. But his work ethic and faithfulness never wavered. Even as a slave, he worked with excellence. Even in prison, he remained diligent. And because of that, God elevated him to the highest position in Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. That's the power of diligence. It opens doors that you could never open on your own. So here's the question. Are you truly giving your best effort, or are you waiting for success to come to you? Too many people dream of financial freedom, but refuse to take the steps necessary to get there. They waste time, make excuses, or expect success to happen overnight. But the truth is, diligence is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The good news, it's never too late to start. No matter where you are right now, you can begin embracing diligence today. Start by taking full ownership of your financial situation, improving your skills, and becoming excellent in your work, eliminating distractions that steal your time and focus, seeking wisdom, and learning from those who have succeeded before you. When you operate with diligence, you position yourself for divine opportunities, and when you are faithful in the small things, God will trust you with greater things. Now, if diligence is a key to financial success, there's another principle that takes it even further, one that most people completely overlook. It's the reason why some people see supernatural financial breakthroughs while others struggle endlessly. Let's talk about it next. The law of sowing and reaping. One of the most powerful financial principles in the Bible is the law of sowing and reaping. This principle is so profound that it governs not only money, but every aspect of life: relationships, health, success, and even faith. Yet when it comes to finances, many people completely ignore it. The Bible lays this out clearly in 2 Corinthians 9:6. Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. This verse is not just poetic, it's a law, a spiritual principle that works whether you believe it or not. Just like gravity, it operates automatically. If you plant seeds in good soil, you'll eventually see a harvest. If you plant nothing, you can't expect a return. Think about it. Farmers don't expect to reap a harvest without first planting seeds. They don't wake up one day and demand crops from the ground if they never sowed anything. Yet, when it comes to money, many people expect financial breakthroughs without first being faithful with what they have. Here's the truth. God's system of wealth is built on giving, not hoarding, not greed, not selfish ambition, but generosity. This is where so many people get stuck. They hold on tightly to what they have, fearing lack, afraid to give. But in doing so, they block the very blessing they're hoping for. The Bible teaches that those who are generous will experience abundance, while those who withhold will remain in scarcity. Look at how Jesus described this principle in Luke 6:38. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. God doesn't just return what you give, He multiplies it. When you operate in faithful generosity, you trigger a supernatural flow of provision. But let's be clear, this is not a get-rich-quick formula. Giving isn't about manipulating God or trying to buy blessings. It's about trusting Him as your provider and following His system rather than the world system. The world says, hold on to what you have. God says, give, and it will be given to you. The world says, look out for yourself. God says, bless others, and you will be blessed. The world says, money is scarce, and you must fight for every dollar. God says, my riches are unlimited, and I provide abundantly. This is why some of the wealthiest, most successful people in the world are givers. They understand this principle, even if they don't realize it's biblical. They know that money flows toward those who are generous, not toward those who are selfish. Look at King Solomon, one of the richest men who ever lived. He didn't become wealthy by hoarding. He became wealthy because he honored God first. When given the chance to ask for anything, he didn't ask for gold or power. He asked for wisdom. And because he sought wisdom first, God gave him everything else, including immense wealth. This same principle applies today. When you make generosity a lifestyle, you will see financial breakthroughs that don't even make sense in the natural. But there's one more aspect to this that many people miss. You must sow into the right soil. A farmer doesn't just throw seeds anywhere, he plants them in fertile soil. Likewise, if you want to see a return, you need to give with wisdom. That means supporting God's work, whether through tithes, offerings, or ministries that advance His kingdom. Being a blessing to others, helping those in need, giving to the poor, and being a conduit of God's provision. Investing in opportunities that align with biblical values, not just throwing money away, but placing it where it can grow and make an impact. When you get this principle right, you move from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance. You stop worrying about money because you know that God is your source, and as long as you keep sowing, you will keep reaping. Now some might say, but what if I don't have much to give? The answer? Start where you are. The widow in Mark 12:41-44 gave 2 small coins, an amount that seemed insignificant. But Jesus said she gave more than anyone else because she gave from her heart. Generosity isn't about the amount, it's about the faith behind it. So the question is, are you living with a scarcity mindset, or are you stepping into God's system of abundance? Because once you start operating in this principle, things begin to shift. Doors open, unexpected blessings come, and you realize that God's supply is never ending. Now, if giving is the key to receiving, then what happens when people misuse money? What happens when money itself becomes an idol? That's where the real danger lies, and that's what we'll uncover next. The danger of loving money. There is a fine line between using money as a tool and allowing money to control you. One leads to freedom, the other to bondage. Many people misunderstand what the Bible actually says about wealth. They assume that money itself is evil, but that's not true. Money is neutral, it's simply a tool. What makes the difference is how a person views and uses it. The Bible warns us in 1 Timothy 6:10, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." Some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. Notice that it doesn't say money is evil. It says the love of money is. This is an important distinction. Money itself is not the problem. It's the way people prioritize it over God, over integrity, and over their purpose. The love of money is dangerous because it leads to greed, dishonesty, and spiritual destruction. It causes people to make compromises, to chase wealth at any cost, even if it means sacrificing their faith, their morals, and their relationships. Look at history. How many powerful people have fallen because of their obsession with riches? How many families have been torn apart by greed? How many individuals have walked away from their values because of their relentless pursuit of luxury and status? Money can be a blessing or a curse, depending on where it stands in your life. If you see it as a gift from God to be managed wisely, it will serve you well. But if you see it as your ultimate goal, it will consume you. Jesus made this very clear in Matthew 6:24. No one can serve 2 masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Here's the real question. Who is in control, you or money? If money dictates your decisions, if you compromise your values for the sake of wealth, if your identity is wrapped up in your possessions, then money has become your master. But if you see money as a resource given by God to be stewarded for His purpose, then you are in control. You are free. This is why some of the wealthiest people in the world are also the most miserable. They have money but no peace. They have luxury but no joy, because money in itself does not bring fulfillment. On the other hand, there are people who may not be millionaires, but live with abundance in their hearts because they have learned to manage money with wisdom, gratitude, and generosity. Think of King Solomon. He had unimaginable riches, yet at the end of his life, he wrote in Ecclesiastes 5:10, "Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless." Solomon had it all, gold, palaces, power, yet he realized that without a deeper purpose, wealth is empty. So what's the solution? How do you ensure that money remains a servant and not a master? Put God first in your finances. Before anything else, honor God with what you have. Tithe, give, and seek His guidance on how to manage your wealth. Be content with what you have. This doesn't mean you shouldn't aim for growth, but it does mean you shouldn't chase money at the expense of your faith and peace. Use wealth for the right reasons. Money should be used to bless others, advance God's kingdom, and create a lasting impact, not just to accumulate possessions. Guard your heart against greed. The enemy will always try to tempt you into believing that more money equals more happiness. But true joy comes from God, not from wealth. There's nothing wrong with having riches. The problem comes when riches have you. So ask yourself, are you managing money or is money managing you? Because once you answer that, you'll know exactly whether you're walking in God's financial plan or the world's trap. And that brings us to something equally important, how you handle the money you already have. Because while trusting God is key, wisdom in financial management is just as critical. That's what we'll uncover next. The importance of financial wisdom. Many people pray for financial blessings, yet they fail to apply wisdom in how they manage what they already have. They ask God for increase, but their habits, decisions, and mindset are working against them. The Bible makes it clear that wisdom is a foundation for lasting wealth. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." This verse reveals a powerful contrast between those who manage resources wisely and those who recklessly consume everything they receive. One of the biggest financial mistakes people make is spending everything they earn. They live paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed about money, always wondering why they never seem to get ahead. But the truth is, God blesses those who steward their resources well. Many people assume that the problem is their income, that they just need to make more money. But the real issue is often not how much they make, but how they manage what they already have. Think about it. If you cannot handle a small amount of money wisely, why would God trust you with more? Jesus himself taught this principle in Luke 16:10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. The way you handle money today determines the level of financial responsibility you will have in the future. If you waste what you have now, increase will not solve your problems. It will only magnify them. This is why so many people who win the lottery or suddenly receive large sums of money end up broke within a few years. They never develop the discipline or wisdom to manage wealth, so instead of using it wisely, they squander it. The key to financial growth is not just income, but discipline, planning, and wisdom. So how do you apply biblical financial wisdom? Live below your means. Just because you earn more doesn't mean you should spend more. Avoid lifestyle inflation, where people increase their expenses the moment they make more money. Instead, be intentional with your spending. Save and invest. The Bible encourages preparing for the future. Proverbs 13:11 says, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." This means true financial growth happens over time, not through quick schemes, but through steady, wise management. Avoid debt and financial bondage. One of the biggest traps people fall into is unnecessary debt. The Bible warns about this in Proverbs 22:7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. Debt keeps people in bondage, preventing them from experiencing true financial freedom. If you're already in debt, make a plan to pay it off aggressively and break free. Seek counsel and learn continuously. Proverbs 15:22 says, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed." One mistake people make is assuming they know everything about money. The wise seek knowledge, learn from experienced people, and surround themselves with those who understand wealth management. Honor God with your finances. Many people try to manage their money without including God in the process. But when you honor Him first, through tithing, generosity, and obedience, He blesses your efforts. Financial wisdom is not about living in fear of lack, but about managing money with intention and faith. If you apply these principles, you won't just survive financially, you'll thrive. But wisdom alone is not enough. There is one key principle that ensures lasting financial success. It's a principle that goes beyond numbers and strategies and connects directly to the blessings of God. That's what we'll explore next. The power of putting God first. If there's one principle that has the power to transform your financial life completely, it's this: God must come first. Many people chase after money, thinking that if they can just earn more, save more, or invest better, they'll finally have peace. But what they fail to realize is that true financial security doesn't come from money itself, it comes from God. Jesus made this clear in Matthew 6:33, "But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." This verse is not just about spiritual matters. It applies to every area of life, including finances. When you prioritize God, everything else falls into place. The problem is that most people do the opposite. They put their career, their financial goals, or their personal desires first, and only seek God when they're in trouble. But that's not how His system works. When you seek God first, you operate with divine wisdom. God gives insight on financial decisions that go beyond human understanding. Experience supernatural provision. You stop striving and start receiving as God opens doors of opportunity. Have peace in your finances. Instead of stressing about money, you trust that God is in control. Think about the story of the widow in 1 Kings 17. She was preparing to eat her last meal with her son before they died of starvation. But then the prophet Elijah came and told her to give to God first by making him a small cake before feeding herself and her child. At first, this instruction seemed illogical. How could she give when she barely had anything left? But because she obeyed, God performed a miracle. Her jar of flour and oil never ran dry, and she had more than enough to survive the famine. This is the principle of divine multiplication. When you trust God with what you have, He ensures that you never run out. But putting God first is not just about money, it's about your heart. Do you trust Him enough to follow His financial principles? Do you believe that His ways lead to greater prosperity than the world's methods? Or do you still rely on your own strength and understanding? When God is your priority, money no longer controls you. It becomes a tool for His purposes. And that leads us to something even greater, because when you align your finances with God's plan, you step into a completely new level of abundance. But what's the purpose of that abundance? That's what we'll uncover next. You are blessed to be a blessing. Many people pray for financial breakthroughs, asking God to bless them with abundance. But here's a question that very few ever stop to ask. Why does God bless us financially? What is the true purpose of wealth? The world teaches that wealth is about status, power, and luxury. The more money you have, the more you can show off, indulge, and prove your success. But the Bible paints a completely different picture. Wealth is not just for personal gain, it is a tool to impact the world. Luke 6:38 makes this clear. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. Notice the pattern. Giving comes first, and the blessing follows. God doesn't bless you just for you. He blesses you so that you can be a blessing. This is why some people receive abundance and it continues to grow, while others get money and it disappears quickly. The ones who use their wealth to serve, help, and bless others unlock an endless cycle of provision. Think about the story of Abraham in Genesis 12:2. God told him, "I will bless you, and you will be a blessing." Abraham's wealth was not just for his enjoyment, it was meant to impact generations. This is the financial mindset of the kingdom. God entrusts wealth to those who know how to use it wisely. So what does this mean for you? Be a generous giver. When you bless others, God pours even more into your life. You don't lose by giving, you gain. Use money for eternal purposes. Invest in things that truly matter, support ministries, help those in need, and fund kingdom work. Money used for God's purposes has an eternal return. Understand that you are a steward, not an owner. Everything you have ultimately belongs to God. Your job is to manage it well and use it in ways that align with His will. This mindset changes everything. You no longer chase money for the sake of having more. You pursue God's purpose, and money follows. Now here's something crucial. You can't keep this to yourself. There are so many people struggling financially who need to hear this message. If this video has blessed you, share it with someone who needs to hear these truths. Because when more people step into God's financial plan, lives change. But before we wrap up, there's one final step you need to take. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. Your next step to financial transformation. You've just uncovered 7 powerful biblical principles that can completely change your financial future. But let me ask you something. What will you do with this knowledge? Because the truth is, information alone doesn't change lives. Action does. You now know that. God is your true provider, not your job, not the economy, not your circumstances. Diligence and wisdom unlock financial growth, not just working harder, but working with purpose. Sowing and reaping is a law. If you give, you will receive. The love of money is dangerous, but money itself is a tool for good when used properly. Seeking God first aligns your finances with His blessings. You are blessed to be a blessing. Wealth is not about hoarding, but about impact. But here's the most important part. Nothing changes if you don't apply these principles. How long will you continue struggling with money? How long will you keep chasing wealth the world's way, only to end up frustrated and empty? You have a choice right now. You can walk away from this video unchanged, or you can step into a completely new way of handling your finances, God's way. So here's what you need to do next. Commit to applying what you've learned today. Start making real changes in how you manage your money, trust God's principles, and step into financial wisdom. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. If you want to continue learning how to apply biblical financial principles to create real wealth, you cannot afford to miss what's coming next. Watch the next video on the screen. It will take what you've learned today and help you avoid the biggest financial mistakes that could be holding you back. If this message has helped you, share it with someone. Because the more people understand these truths, the more lives will be transformed. You don't have to stay stuck in financial struggles. God has more for you. He has given you the principles, the wisdom, and the tools to prosper. The question is, will you step into it? Click on the next video now, and let's continue this journey together.